All right, man, peace. So, brothers, we're living in the age of everybody questioning everything, no matter whether they have empirical data, information, research. It really doesn't matter. It's the new in thing to question everything. And Joel Embiid is one of those guys. He's going to go against the grain just because he feels like it and because he knows it'll make a big splash on social media. So he recently decided that he was going to declare that, in his opinion, Michael Jordan is not the greatest player ever, but that it's actually Wilt Chamberlain. And I've had other cats come on my channel, go in the comments and say similar things. They'll claim that Wilt Chamberlain is the greatest basketball player ever, greater than Jordan, because of all the records that he holds. But what I tried to explain to them is that Wilt Chamberlain is not the greatest basketball player ever. He's just the greatest athlete of the 20th century. No matter the sport, Wilt Chamberlain is the greatest athlete of the 20th century, not the greatest basketball player. And a lot of times people conflate the two because he was a gargantuan obstacle in the NBA in the 1960s. He could do things that human beings simply should not be able to do at that stature. Being 7'2", having a damn near 50-inch vertical leap, things of that nature. But the reason why you can't call him the greatest basketball player ever is that he was not able to raise his team and the level of his play when it mattered the most. He had his greatest moments in the regular season, but when the playoffs came, oftentimes he would come up short. And that's why he would fall out with his coaches a lot of times. I believe there was an event that occurred in Game 7 of the 1969 Finals when the Lakers, and Wilt Chamberlain was on the Lakers at that time, they were playing against the Celtics. It was Bill Russell's last championship run. And Wilt Chamberlain injured his knee, or at least he claimed he injured his knee. He was taken out of the game. I can't quite remember who the coach of the Lakers was at that time, either Bill Sharman or maybe Van Bredikoff. And whoever it was, the coach did not like Wilt Chamberlain at all. They believed that Wilt Chamberlain was a player who dogged it and who would always get hurt when his team needed him the most. So they kept him on the bench. And it might have cost the Lakers the championship that year. Either way, and even as Max Kellerman will show you in this segment, and I've mentioned it in the past, Wilt Chamberlain's points per game dropped precipitously in the playoffs. In the regular season, he averaged about 30 points a game. In the playoffs, it went down to 22.5 points a game. Michael Jordan averaged the same amount of points in the regular season, but in the playoffs, his points actually went up to almost 34 points a game. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Speaking of these guys, Joel Embiid's talking and making some news on and off the court. He told The Ringer this: "He's not the GOAT to me. You got Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, he has all the records. They're never going to be beaten. I don't see anybody getting 100 points in a game. That's it. He is the GOAT."
Nothing against Joel Embiid, but I guarantee you, if he ever wins 6 championships and there's another center, say an Anthony Davis, who has a 15-year career where he scored more points than Joel Embiid and had more rebounds, I promise you that Joel Embiid will change his definition for what a GOAT is.
Oh, Stephen A. Is he right about the GOAT?
Of course he's wrong, but I love it anyway. Because here's why I love it. Joel Embiid is coming to the defense of big men throughout NBA history.
Well, that's part of it. That's part of it. What Joel Embiid is also doing is he's trying to find a way to keep himself relevant on social media. That's his main inclination.
He's sitting there and watching everybody talk about all of these guards. And he's like, what about us? Wilt Chamberlain was the most dominant force we'd ever seen. And then Shaq came along and he was the most dominant force of our lifetime. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 19-time All-Star, all-time leading scorer in NBA history. The only individual in the history of basketball with one unstoppable move. Nobody has ever come up with a remedy for the sky hook. The only person in the history of basketball. Okay, so when you...
Well, the issue with the Kareem argument, and I say this all the time, Kareem won a championship with Oscar Robertson, didn't win anything until he got Magic Johnson, and then they were able to win 5 championships. But for probably 3 of those championships, he was not the best player on the team. At the very least, 2 of those championships. With Jordan, he was the best for all their championships. He was the best player on the team, and he also changed the paradigm for winning in the NBA. So that, to me, is what puts Jordan above Kareem. When it comes to Wilt, Jordan was a far greater winner than Wilt, and also with Wilt, he would come up short in the big spots.
When you look at it from that perspective, Bill Russell one with the most Mr. Champion himself, 11 titles in 13 years. Joel Embiid, 7-1, balling, averaging 27 and 12, can all-star, a championship contender. He's like, wait a minute, what about us? So even though I disagree with him, because Jordan is Jordan, I so appreciate Joel Embiid saying it because he's reminding us there's value to big men who can ball too.
Well, he's also saying that there's value to listening to me because I love attention.
Y'all must have forgot.
The argument between Wilt and Bill Russell back in the days, do you want to put up the numbers or do you want to win the championships? Even though it's a little bit unfair, Russell had a better team around him usually, but you look at Russell's performance with
Right, but Wilt Chamberlain also played with a lot of Hall of Famers. He played with a lot of Hall of Famers, Wilt Chamberlain did.
With the championship on the line, Game 7s, it's unreal. He's clutch. And Wilt wasn't. Wilt wasn't clutch.
Thank you, sir.
In big moments in like Game 7, when you needed him to score, he would pass. If you needed him to pass, he would score. He was that kind of player. Look, that's the way, that's what wound up happening.
Those are facts.
So Michael Jordan.
He was the LeBron James of his generation. That's what Wilt Chamberlain was.
Jordan is like Wilt Chamberlain plus Bill Russell. He put up better numbers than anyone, and the advanced metrics, Joel Embiid, all say it, by the way. Higher PER than Wilt and all that kind of stuff. And he won championships like he's Bill Russell.
I really wish that ESPN would update their highlight package of Michael Jordan. They show the same raggedy 10-second highlight package of Jordan every time they talk about him.
He's Wilt Russell. He's Bill Chamberlain. But beyond that, Stephen A., you want to know the difference why Jordan not only had a higher career scoring average than Wilt Chamberlain in an era in which it was harder to score? The reason that Michael Jordan, one of them, so it's percentage points higher. The reason that Michael Jordan is 6-0 in championships and Wilt only had 2 championships in his career. You know what Jordan's scoring average was in the playoffs? It went up 33.4. Know what Wilt's was? 22.5. Jordan was a better statistical player than Wilt Chamberlain, and the clutch gene, it's not close. There is no argument for Wilt compared to Michael Jordan.
Well, we know that Wilt wasn't clutch. I mean, he was like a 50% free throw shooter. And hitting your free throws is a part of being clutch.
But I love Joel Embiid for trying to make it. This dude is the best.
Well, again,
he's a master troll.
He's trying to make it, but he's trying to make it in all seriousness, man, because look at what DeAndre Jordan and others have talked about. You got big men who've lost all-star votes just because they're big men. They show up. Look at Rudy Gobert. You got the poor boy crying because he didn't get picked for the All-Star. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you got this kind of stuff going on. Why? Because they go out there, you have a role to play, and you play it at an elite level. And strictly because of your size, devoid of the sizzle that comes along with it, you get robbed of the stature you have richly earned and deserved, Joel Embiid.
Well, let's be for real, Stephen A. Smith. The game has kind of passed a certain style of play by. If Kareem was playing today, he would have to streamline his game. I'm not saying that he would have to change his game because Kareem, especially like his first 10 years, he was very fleet-footed. He was light on his feet. He was not a plodding big man. But he would have to catch the ball and make an offensive decision very quickly, much quicker than what would have been expected of him back in the 70s or early 80s.
Well, Embiid doesn't have that problem because he's got the sizzle to go along with the game. Because he is box office in terms of how he talks, how he's a magnet for attention, and not only that, he's got the game to back it up. Plus, he picks out challenges. Guys that are supposed to be on his level, that play his position, he goes after. Hassan Whiteside has...
That's why it would be great for the NBA if Anthony Davis were to be traded to the Boston Celtics. Let's say if Kyrie were to resign there and Anthony Davis were to be traded there. Then you have the Joel Embiid versus Anthony Davis matchup 4 times a year in the Eastern Conference, at least for that one season. And then you also have the Giannis Antetokounmpo matchup versus Anthony Davis 4 times a year for that one season.
Has been reduced to complete irrelevancy primarily because Joel Embiid destroys him, okay, and talks about him while doing it. So you have those kind of things going on. But by and large, you have big men that have not been appreciated to the degree that they should. And Joel Embiid is bringing attention to that fact by making such a proclamation, which is why even though he's wrong, Embiid, I don't mind it.
I'll say this about Embiid. Embiid has the chance to be the most complete center who ever lived, the most complete.
I'm not quite sure about that. I think that he has a chance to be the most complete center in this era. because he has the physicality that Anthony Davis does not have. But I don't see any center ever being more complete than Hakeem Olajuwon.
Stephen A. Because, like, okay, you bring up Hakeem immediately, right? But Hakeem wasn't Embiid size. I'm talking about...
Doesn't matter.
I'm talking about legit 7-footer plus dude, wide body, with the footwork, with the moves in the post, with an outside shot, who can pass the ball with soft hands, etc., play real elite defense, defend the rim. There may never have been a complete package, certainly in the modern era, like Embiid, if his health holds up.
Well, you say that,
no.
Well, that's a major if.
You say if his health holds up. I say also if he played, he's improved from last year to this year.
And he's also going to have to win some championships. That's what I mean when I say it's easy for him to say, well, Wilt has most of the records, so he's better than Jordan. Yeah, it's easy for you to say that now because you ain't never won shit. Go ahead and win 2 or 3 championships and find out how hard that is. And then have somebody tell you that Anthony Davis is better than you because he has better stats, even though he's never won anything after 15 years. I promise you're going to get very upset.
Yeah, we're playing with his back to the basket, showing that he's got an arsenal with his post game. He's done that more so this year, and I appreciate that because that's what I wanted to see from him. I don't want to see some 7-foot dude putting the ball on the floor, facing the basket, shooting jump shots. I want to see you with your back to the basket, drop step, being a man amongst boys. You have to have that capability too, and he's done more of that this year, and that's why I agree with you.
What else about Embiid? This is he's like a genius. He's like a super smart guy. You can tell if you ever join a fantasy football league or something, you know who are going to be the good players based on the names, right? You see a clever name, you go, I got to watch that guy or gal, right? Like, they're smart. They know what they're doing. Embiid on Twitter even, you could see, boy, this guy has a high IQ. He's hilarious, right? You could just...
Well, most humorists or comedians are smart because in order for you to be a humorist or for you to be comedic, you have to pay very close attention to what's going on around you. It's a comedian's ability to take the truth and encapsulate it within a joke that makes him captivating. Because at the end of the day, that's really all a joke is taking a perception or, taking an observation and putting a humorous spin on it.
You can just tell from his post he's a smart guy. So he's smart enough to know that, in fact, he's wrong about Wilt Chamberlain and holding all the records. He knows he's a bright guy. He knows Wilt's not the GOAT, but he said he was. And what did we wind up?
No, I actually do believe that Joel Embiid believes that Wilt is the GOAT because he's spoken about it before. There was a clip where he was on the sideline. I believe that it was at last year's All-Star game where he spoke about Wilt Chamberlain. He said, I was going to the record book or I was on YouTube and I saw Wilt Chamberlain and I think that he might be the GOAT. Why do people call Jordan the GOAT?
End up doing? We just did a segment on national TV on Joel Embiid. He outsmarted us all.
The winner is Joel. All right, guys.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. Joel Embiid, he is a master troll, and the thing about him is that he knows how to speak what he believes to be the truth to get attention, and he'll do so when he knows that it's going to be controversial. So peace.